Hare Krishna.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, dear devotees, please join us today. Today we will be covering chapter 14, the three modes of material nature. प्रकृति के तीन गुण. कौन से हैं ये गुण? सत्वगुण, mode of goodness; रजोगुण, mode of passion; तमोगुण, mode of ignorance. So please join us. You're all welcome, and we are very grateful that you have joined us today on this session. And आप सबका अभिनंदन है, आप सबका स्वागत है. And we covered chapter 12, where Lord Krishna revealed to Arjuna कि भक्ति के क्या stages हैं, the stages of devotional service and the endearing qualities, the qualities that can make us very dear to Lord Shri Krishna. फिर chapter 13 पे Arjuna asked six aspects, right? अर्जुन ने 13th chapter में 13वें अध्याय में पूछा था कि क्षेत्रज्ञ कौन है, you know, and what is knowledge, and who's the knower, or prakriti purusha. So these three pairs of questions were asked, and हम लोगों ने वो कवर करे थे. भगवान ने बताया था कि जो body है, the senses, knowledge acquiring senses, working senses, the body of 24 elements, this is kshetra. So this is the field of activity. Or kshetrajna is the one who knows this field. So there are two knowers, right? Soul and super soul. Atma और परमात्मा. परमात्मा भी हृदय में है और हम लोगों की हेल्प कर रहे हैं. And then also about knowledge. We talked about knowledge and how it's different than what people get at the universities, which is information. Hare Krishna. So we'll start today's chapter, and please join us for Jai Radha Mother prayers. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा डियर फ्रेंड्स, आप सभी का स्वागत है, अभिनंदन है. जीव तत्व प्रभु जी आज चैप्टर 14 पे डिस्कोर्स दे रहे हैं, द थ्री मोड्स ऑफ मटेरियल नेचर. फॉर दोज ऑफ यू हु मिस द टाइटल, एंड सुरेश बाबू, गौतम, हरे कृष्णा, विष्णु, निखिल और जयदेव मैदा, हरि बोल, पांडुरंग, दीपक, नीरज, दीपक, हरि बोल, आप सभी का स्वागत है. सीता वेणुगोपाल, रितिका गांगुली, बाबू राजन, नागवेणी, हरि बोल, राजा शेखर, रितु दुबे, शीला, शेरू, अशोक सा, मंजरी सखी. It is our great pleasure to see you all here today. Rubel Das, Shashi, Hare Krishna.
So please join us for Jai Radha Mother prayer. Hare Krishna.
Hare
dear devotees.
Hare Krishna, Rubeldas, Shashi Pathak, Manjari Sakhi, Sheru Goyanka, Sheila, Haribol, Raja Ritu, Sita Venugopal, Ritika Ganguly, Babu Rajan, नागवेणी, विष्णु नायक, निखिल, हरिबोल फ्रेंड्स, आप सभी का स्वागत है, आप सभी का अभिनंदन है। और जितेंद्र सिंह, दूदू, रमेश, सोनाली, आदर्श, पूजा, राजदेव दास, रघुनाथ विश्वास, एकता पांडे, संध्या साखेल, हर्षित, बोपाना, करुणा सिंधु, साधन भक्त, रिक्ता, हरिबोल, वीरेश्वर झा, रविकांत, वीरेश्वर, साहिल महलोत्रा, गौरी साईराम, रामन भाई, अमित अरोड़ा एंड ऑल द अदर नेम्स हु स्क्रॉल बाय, जिनका हमने नाम नहीं लिया है, आप सभी का बहुत बहुत दिल से अभिनंदन है। आइए चैप्टर 14 भागवत गीता, मोड्स ऑफ मटेरियल नेचर।
Hare Krishna. Join us for Guru Pranati. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tadaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So please join us in the recitation of the first verse. And today, this chapter is where Lord Krishna is even going to reveal more information, that knowledge that is higher than what he has discussed so far. So, अब जो भगवान इस chapter 14 जो तीन प्रकृति के गुण हैं, प्रकृति के गुण, उनके बारे में जो नॉलेज शेयर करने वाले हैं, बोलते हैं कि वो अभी तक जितनी भी नॉलेज, जितना भी हम लोगों को ज्ञान दिया उन्होंने, उससे भी ऊपर है, उससे भी परे है। और इट इज़ टू हेल्प अस, क्योंकि हम लोग जब किसी चीज़ को बहुत ही माइन्यूटली डेप्थ में स्टडी करते हैं तो हमें उससे नए नए लेसन्स मिलते हैं। सो देयर आर सम अमेजिंग लेसन्स जो हम लोग आज सीख सकते हैं। हरे कृष्णा। सो प्लीज जॉइन अस इन द रेसिटेशन ऑफ द फर्स्ट वर्स। श्री भगवान उवाच परम भुवः प्रवक्ष्यामि ज्ञानानां ज्ञानम् उत्तमं यज्ञात्वा मुनयः सर्वे परां सिद्धिमितो गतः। Translation by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection." Hare Krishna. So, Srila Prabhupada is sharing in the purports that Lord Krishna is going to reveal this knowledge which is much, more in depth, much more enlivening than what he has shared. Sometimes people get confused between the 9th chapter where he is revealing the most confidential, right, information. So that's most confidential aspect, the secret of all secret, Raj Vidra Raj Guhyam. So that is the secret. Now, what is behind the secret, that is for the people who are interested in knowing. They just don't want to know that this is the secret. Why is it this the secret? What is the analytical aspect? How can I logically understand that most secret of all secrets is so, So that's where people who are very inquisitively minded, people who are jnani, they get attracted by these facts. And they want to know that why that most, the greatest secret, Raj Vidya Rajguhyam, is so. So here, Lord Krishna, he is revealing to us, and he is revealing that there are the three modes and the influence of the three modes. So today we'll be studying chapter 14. Now the interesting thing is we can remember the teachings of chapter 14 using acronyms like we have been doing for the previous chapters. And the acronym is very suitable for the current season. This is a season of joy, right? We just had Gita Jayanti on 25th, and the whole world celebrated it as Christmas. And Christmas is celebrated because Jesus Christ took birth, and he is said to be the Son of God, right? And that is always celebrated. And the interesting thing is that studying the scriptures, we realize that actually in this chapter, Lord says that I am Father of all living entities. So we are all sons and daughters of God, right? So he is our Father. Yet at the same time, knowing it and realizing it has a vast difference. Why Jesus is celebrated? Because he realized it and he acted in that position. While the three modes of material nature, the ones that we are going to study today, is going to actually cause some bewilderment, and we'll discuss why it bewilders us, the various modes, how they are in constant competition with each other. So, and what are the effects of these modes? So it's very interesting that we are talking about modes of material nature: Sattva-guna, mode of goodness; Rajoguna, mode of passion; Tamoguna, mode of ignorance. And sometimes people have this attitude that you have to be in Sattva-guna to practice devotional service. No, you have to just practice devotional service, and then you will rise above the three modes. Even Sattva-guna is binding, and we'll also discuss that how Sattva-guna is binding. Yes, cleanliness is next to godliness, and to get clean, you come to the level of Sattva-guna, so it becomes easy, right? So if you are going from point A to point B, you can either walk, or you can drive a bicycle going from point A to point B, or you can take a car, right? So Sattva-guna is like having a car as your media, while bicycle is more like Rajoguna, but then it has its lot of endeavor, and then Tamoguna is like walking. So when you compare from this perspective, it appears like, okay, all three are media, they are medium through which you can use these as vehicles to walk to the destination, and just that the car seems to be more favorable. Why? Because it's already enabling you to use what has been provided and get to your destination quickly. So Sattva-guna does enable. Cleanliness is next to godliness, but that doesn't mean that to come to have the destination, either you can look at this journey and say, okay, I'm at destination, but you can actually be at destination from the very beginning. And how can you do that? How can you just be at the destination from the very beginning? You haven't started walking, you haven't started cycling, you haven't started driving. How can you be at destination very quickly? It is very simple. All you have to do is raise your arms and chant, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada said that this is transcendental sound vibration. It is not of this world. It is coming directly from Golok Vrindavan. And so when we chant, we are automatically situated in transcendence. And we are automatically performing pure devotional service. We are all automatically, when we are hearing it attentively, when we are seeking to please Lord Shri Krishna, when we are saying, oh my dear Lord Krishna, in a prayerful mode, I am fallen in this world, but by your mercy I have received this human form of body which is much higher. So I am paraphrasing some of that for some of you. कि भगवान आपकी कृपा से मुझे ये मनुष्य जीवन मिला है, और इसमें जो मुझे बुद्धि मिली है, that is setting me apart from the पशु योनि, right? मुझे पशुओं के पास वो इंटेलिजेंस नहीं होती है that they can do ब्रह्म जिज्ञासा, right? वो ब्रह्म जिज्ञासा के ऊपर इंक्वायर नहीं कर सकते हैं. But I have received this body, so please, enable me to come to you, that this let me attain the goal. So from the very beginning, so we are not dependent on the three modes of material nature, but the influence of three modes of material nature should be studied. Why? So that people who are analytically oriented, who want to get further proofs, they get enlightened that, oh, is that the reason? Okay, now I understand why I should engage in devotional service. And they engage in devotional service. And people who are already bhaktas, they get enlightened that they are saying, oh, this is reaffirming that no matter where we are, we should try to serve Lord Krishna with all our abilities. And soon and very quickly, they rise above the three modes of material nature. but the transcendental goodness is also sometimes referred to as pure goodness. It is above the goodness. Reminds me of a story when Srila Prabhupada, उनके दो तीन सन्यासी शिष्य जो थे, वो मायापुर में गए टेम्पल, मायापुर में there are so many temples where people worship Lord Gauranga, Radha Krishna, and so many wonderful pastimes have been performed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they were traveling and they went to a temple, they stayed for the aarti, and then they were getting prasadam from the priest. So the priest, when giving them prasadam, was very smiling. Oh, these are Western boys and they have become such, they are wearing, sannyasi, they have become sannyasi. And so they are really elevated. And, they have taken to devotional service, they have taken to Krishna Bhakti. तो ऐसा सोचते हुए जो priest था, पुजारी, उन्होंने उनको प्रसाद दिया. प्रसाद देने के साथ में उनको कहा कि may you be born, blessing क्या है? May you be born as a Brahman in a Brahman's home in your next birth. तो जो पुजारी थे उन्होंने कहा कि अगले जन्म में आप, ये blessing है कि आप किसी ब्राह्मण के यहाँ जन्म लें. Because in the mind of that priest, Brahman is the topmost. Once you take birth in a Brahman's family, then you have crossed the path. So they were surprised. They were saying, wait a minute, we are already sannyasi, we are already, Varna is Brahman of sannyasi, तो इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? तो प्रभुपाद के पास गए, बोलते प्रभुपाद हम लोग को ऐसी ब्लेसिंग दी है उन्होंने पुजारी ने, तो हम थोड़ा असमंजस में हैं, we are little confused. What does it mean? So Prabhupada, he started laughing. He started saying, let me tell you a story. So interestingly, Prabhupada would give such a wonderful message with the media of a story. So it's very interesting. What was the story that Prabhupada told? What do you want to know? So the story Prabhupada told was that once there was an old lady, right? एक वृद्ध महिला थी, उनको उनके परिवार जो उन्होंने बहुत त्रस्त कर दिया था. उनके पास बहुत बड़ा लैंड था गांव में, एंड दे वर ट्राइंग टू usurp, उसको हड़ना चाहते थे, उनको उनसे छीन लेना चाहते थे वो लैंड. सो when there was a magistrate, he was traveling and he happened to be in that village, तो उनके कुछ जो शुभ चिंतक थे, well wishers, they told this lady, this lady के जो वृद्ध महिला थी, उनके जो शुभ चिंतक थे, उन्होंने उस महिला को बोला कि आपको जाके इनसे रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहिए कि आपका केस देखें. So she followed, good advice should be followed. So she went. उन्होंने जाके मजिस्ट्रेट के सामने अपनी प्ली रखी कि देखिए मेरा ये इतना बड़ा जो लैंड है, ये मेरे परिवारजन मुझसे छीनना चाहते हैं. तो जो मजिस्ट्रेट थे, he studied it well and he made his ruling, made it a proper case and ruled it in her favor. तो महिला के फेवर में उन्होंने रूलिंग दे दी कि ये महिला का लैंड है, don't disturb this old lady, let her be, the owner, don't cause more trouble, otherwise she will be punished. So, when she became very, very happy, she was very happy that she wanted to give him the best blessing in the world. तो जो old lady थी, उनकी क्या blessing थी, उन्होंने कहा, may you become constable. So according to her, she had only seen the constable who's walking on the streets of village with a danda, and everyone is paying, their respect to the constable. Everyone is very nicely saying namaste and salam and all that stuff. So greeting very nicely to the constable. So in her mind, in that old lady's mind, she was thinking कि जो constable है ये topmost position है. So this magistrate, I'm giving him blessing that he should become constable. So Srila Prabhupada said that is the mindset of the pujari, because he doesn't know what is what fully. So he's thinking that if you're born in a Brahman's home, then your life will be perfect. He doesn't know that you're already going on the perfect path and your life is perfect by devotional service. So devotional service is transcendental to the three modes of material world. So that's very important. And how do you start your devotional service? How do you get to your destination from the very beginning? Just by praying in a prayerful mood. You want to pray to Lord Kṛṣṇa and say, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. So we are praying to Mother Radha. So now also, it is said that devotees, they are not just very humble, but they are also very smart, they are very intelligent. Why? Because we know that sometimes when we approach Father, Father may turn us down. But when we approach Mother, she is 1,000 times more compassionate than Father. So we are approaching Mother Radha, right? Radha Rani. Her name is Hara, and with love she is called out as Hare. So just like Sita is called out as Site. So similarly we are calling Mother with love. Then, my dear Mother, please, my dear Father, please engage us in your service. So please engage me in your service. That's the prayer when we chant the holy name. So today the acronym we'll use in this chapter 14 is JOY, J-O-Y. And there are 3 sections, as you can imagine, in this chapter, chapter 14. And the interesting part is that they are also equally divided. So there are 27 verses, which first 9 verses refer to J, juxtaposition. The middle 6 verses refer to O, which is overview of the influence of the 3 modes of material nature. And finally, the last section refers to, which is the last 9 verses, they refer to, which is 19 through 27, yoga, which is better and which helps us become Yare. Yare is ready, which prepares us, which makes us agile so that we can quickly, it's very interesting that when you are in traffic, we have normally seen this time and again. Everyone is stopped at their position, all the cars and trucks and big vehicles. The bigger the vehicle, the more it is stuck because of the mobility it is. But the cyclists, they just know how to get past everyone quickly, twisting and turning the vehicle because they're very agile. So it's not what kind of body we have received, it's not what kind of influence we have. What are we doing with it matters the most, right? Because our purpose is go from point A to point B. We are in this material world, we want to get out of this material world and go back home, back to Godhead. So we can do it no matter where we are. And that is the beauty, means that's what Lord Kṛṣṇa is revealing, that there's spiritual varieties are unlimited. And that's why we see so much varieties in the material world. And sometimes we get bewildered in this material world seeing the variety, and we say, oh, I don't have this and I don't have that. And we start to make excuses and we start to feel sorry for ourselves. Actually, we should be becoming happy that whatever has been given is just sufficient for me. Lord Kṛṣṇa says in Srimad Bhagavatam that this is a perfect boy. Shukdev Goswami reveals it again and again as well as Sutta Goswami is also revealing it to us, that this human form of life is very rare, and this is a perfect boat through which, by engaging in devotional service, we can quickly cross over this material world. Yet at the same time, we have to follow the process, right? It's not that we are engaging in devotional service and we do it whimsically. No, it also means that when we engage in devotional service, we take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. And as we have been hearing with so many preachers online as well as in person, that they are telling us that you can take help, and this help is coming to us in the form of spiritual master, and this help will set us in the right direction. Otherwise, if we speculate, the goal may be here and we may be going over there. That's not what we want to do. We want to be in the right direction. We want to be focused, and that focus comes by taking shelter of a spiritual master in parampara, in disciplic succession of bona fide spiritual master. So now, the effect of the 3 modes of material nature is also very important. That will be also, Lord Kṛṣṇa also covers. Now when Lord Kṛṣṇa is covering, he is identifying that sometimes people who do not know this knowledge well, they think that everyone is born of this material world. It's a chemical reaction, it just happened and then we beings came into life. Srila Prabhupada used to say, isn't this very strange? Means, if that is the case, there is a dead body, right? Why don't you bring it back to life if it is chemical reaction? Scientists couldn't answer that, doctors, they say no, we can't make that happen. So it's like, okay, so the chemical theory is wrong, right? And there are so many ways people used to say that, okay, everyone has just come about, and we all are descendant of chimpanzees and apes and so forth. So Srila Prabhupada used to say, is that so? Then for so many hundreds of years, why hasn't a human being walked from the jungle, If this is, slow transformation, then they give another excuse. Then no, the transformation is so slow. So it only happened once. It's not going to happen again. So again, they don't have an answer. Because it's all hypothesis. They're all trying to come up with their own theories. They don't have any proof. But here the proof is there. In Bhagavad-Gita you see the proof. In Srimad Bhagavatam you see the proof. And we can take to this proof because it's Shabda Pramana, right? It is coming directly from God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth. The Supreme, Param Purusha, Param Dhama, who is our Supreme Destination. Everything is dependent on Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, yet at the same time he is so merciful that even when people blaspheme him, he doesn't, take it to his heart. He says, okay, this is forgetfulness. This is like a child who doesn't listen to the parents. Well, in due course of time, he will learn. Some, good children, they learn very quickly because they are following the direction. Some, they want to be beaten up in their life and then they learn the direction. Some still don't learn. So therefore they fall down to, lower yonis, lower births. And that is another aspect where it is being revealed here, that if somebody falls down to lower life, sometimes people say, oh, no, if you have taken human life, you cannot fall down. Human life is also one of the 8.4 million species. May say 4 lakhs are human types. Even within human beings, there is so much gradation. What to talk about? I'm not talking about the caste system. There are 4 lakh varieties of humans. So you can imagine, there is so much variety in this world. But also, that this variety that we see in the material world is actually a perverted reflection of spiritual variety, where everyone is very nicely serving Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. So the effect, Lord Kṛṣṇa is saying that the effect of mode of goodness, mode of passion and mode of ignorance, what do they lead to? But before we touch that, this example, why everyone is thinking that everyone is born in this material world and material world is Mata, right? They are thinking that this material nature, she is the cause of our appearance. Then there is a very beautiful example given. This example is that sometimes when the mother scorpion, she lay her eggs in rice, right? And when from the rice, all these scorpions, they come out, people say, oh, rice has given birth to the scorpion. No. The eggs were laid in rice so that they are hidden because they look like rice, so they are in a camouflage. That's the mother scorpion's strategy, that they will be camouflaged. People won't understand that this is not rice and this is. But at the same time, the scorpions come out and they say, oh, this is what is going on. The rice has given birth to a scorpion, but it is not so. The seed has been laid. Similarly, in this material world, Lord Kṛṣṇa, because we wanted to enjoy, he allowed us to appear. So we, living entities, we the souls, get the opportunity to take on different kind of bodies, to enjoy different kind of desires, to fulfill different kind of desires that we have. Yet at the same time, when we have desires to just enjoy our senses, enjoy ourselves and not seek the enjoyment, the pleasure of Lord Kṛṣṇa, then everything becomes inauspicious. That is the important lesson that we should be taking. So Jain joy refers to juxtaposition, right? Juxtaposition is like a condition of the modes, right? And what is happening is that Lord Kṛṣṇa is identifying, he had already identified, so he is again saying that my superior energy, is jivas, the living entities. And the material energy, the 3 modes of material nature, which have been which have come into existence after Pradhan was agitated by time and from Mahat Tattva, it came along. So the material energy related 3 modes, they're actually lower. The material energy is lower energy, external potency is lower than the marginal potency. Yet at the same time, because the marginal potency, the living soul, wants to enjoy, wants to lord over the material world, it takes on different kind of bodies. So I have taken this body, you have taken that body. We have all taken different bodies because the desire we had before we got the body is to, enjoy in a specific way. So Mother Nature, she is only providing us what we want. Now the interesting thing is this: when she provides us, instead of accepting what we have been provided, we complain sometimes. Yet at the same time, we think that I am this dress, right? Just like I'm wearing this dress, these clothes, so I think that, okay, I'm this body. So we can start to think that I'm this body and start to behave like this body. And Lord Kṛṣṇa reveals in this chapter that this juxtaposition is happening. Two different energies have come together, and they are contrast. They have different qualities. One is constantly changing and one is eternal, unchanging. One is lower, one is superior. Yet at the same time, juxtaposition is that even though this is lower, when there is a combination, the lower one takes over and covers the vision of the more superior one. Tathastha Shakti, the living entity, gets covered by the influence of the modes of material nature. And so one becomes conditioned. One thinks that I am this body, and that is what false ego is. We all have ego, right? That's our identity. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. That I am refers to ego. But when we don't realize that I am Brahmasmi, I am this body, I am a man, I am an Indian, I am an American, I am a doctor, I am a CEO, I am a president. All these are upadhis, designations for the body. We are not the body. Yet at the same time, we get bewildered, and so we think in this manner. And so we become conditioned. Now sometimes people say, oh, I can, rise above. Then you look at other living entities around you. You will see that they behave, this is the conditioning, they behave according to the bodies that they have received. Look at the body of a dog. When he sees, someone attacking, he barks and growls and all those things. A cat, meows and carries out the characteristic that you see in a cat. You see a tree, it's standing at one place, doing what a tree does. It's growing and, it's giving fruits. And that's why, it is said that from a mango tree, you can only expect mangoes. You won't get oranges, right? This is human experiment that they try to create hybrids and, so many different combinations. So this is also another mentality to kind of playing with nature. Yet at the same time, we should understand things as they are so that we can continue to progress. And sometimes people say, wait a minute, if that is the case, we should be able to get great, with right combinations. Astrology is very much prevalent in many parts of the world, and it is actually a science. And people use it to make good combinations. People with like-minded attitude come together so that they can, for marriages normally it's being used, or to make life better, it's being used. But then the life better only becomes when you take to devotional service. Otherwise everything stays inauspicious. And you don't have to come to say, okay, when I'll reach mode of goodness, or one who is pure at heart, only he can engage in devotional service. That's not true. Because we have seen from Srila Prabhupada's own example, when he came to the Queens area in New York, that was the worst, it was hellish place. And people were in complete, the darkest mode of ignorance you can think of, the darkest color of black, shade of black. So it was so bad. Yet at the same time, Srila Prabhupada, he continued to give classes on Bhagavad-Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. There are various people who joined the movement, and they got purified from wherever they were, they got purified, and many of them became sannyasis. They became transcendental to the three modes of material nature. And we, look at them with awe and reverence that, oh, these are great qualities. It is not that they had to come to mode of goodness. Yes, with the company of Srila Prabhupada, they did come, but they came to mode of pure goodness by engaging in devotional service. It simply starts with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we have to realize the gifts that we have received. Normally we are ignorant, just like this man. He had a dog, and his friend one day visited. And this man, he was playing chess with his dog. So this man was seeing that the dog was making the right moves. He knew how to make the moves on this chessboard. So he said to his friend, "Oh, my dear friend, this is the smartest dog I've seen." But you know what the owner of the dog said, what the caretaker of the dog said? He said, no, he's not very smart. I have beaten him 3 times out of 5. Not very smart dog. That is our tendency. Normally we are kind of like so much looking into that what others have, that we know the gifts that we have received. We know that we are surrounded with wonderful devotees. Jivera Sarupoya Kṛṣṇa Nityadas. So everyone around us is a devotee. And some know it, some don't. So that's the only difference. Yet at the same time, they have the tendency, they have attraction towards Lord Shri Krishna. So if we treat them very nicely, if we treat them very passionately with care, understanding that they are all, then Lord Krishna becomes happy. And one of the best way to treat them is to pray for them. If you're feeling that okay, they are constantly complaining, so we should pray to Lord Shri Krishna. Oh Lord Shri Krishna, when can they stop complaining? Please do something. How can I help them from stop complaining and start realizing? If they are always asking for things, then pray to Lord Shri Krishna. Oh my dear Lord Shri Krishna, please help them realize what they really need and remove their wants, so that they can come to that realization that this life is a great blessing and they can use this life with the right purpose. Sometimes parents, they say, our children, they are not devotees, they don't sit with us to do bhajan. So we kind of like say, are you doing bhajan? You have to make this environment so wonderful that they would want to do it. Instead of you trying to push your children, we should make the whole wonderful, because this devotion service is performed joyfully. Su sukham kartum avyayam. And it's not just performed once, it can be unlimitedly performed, uninterruptedly it can be performed. Ahatuki apratihata. Apratihata means without interruption. And ahatuki is without having any self-motivation. Sometimes we also see in devotion service, people come and their purpose is, the actions speak louder than the words. You know that they want to become like, they want to be called themselves as authorities, and they want to be called themselves as, hum samaj ke thekedar hain, we are the caretaker of the society. That Rajasic gun is visible, it's visible. Yet at the same time, we still respect them and we listen to them, and we, seek to give them nice experience, because we understand that they have at least taken devotional service to do all that stuff. They have taken the path. In due course of time, this will wash off, because they will rise above that mode and at the mode of transcendence. Yet at the same time, what is more important? To give them the association by engaging in devotional service. Give them the association by glorifying Lord Shri Krishna, honoring prasadam together, talking about Krishna, his name, form, activities, pastimes, and the best of all is early morning, just gather them together, even online, and chant the holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this is great service, and we all have an opportunity to do this great service. And everyone, who engages becomes very joyful. All those anarthas, all those worries, they are just like birds. But when we are chanting the holy name, that's like clapping, and birds, they drive away. So similarly, the three modes of material nature, the influence, dies down. Yet at the same time, Lord Krishna is saying that these three modes of material nature, they are in constant competition with each other. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes very prevalent, and then sometimes the mode of passion becomes prevalent. Sometimes mode of ignorance becomes prevalent. So these modes, they are in constant competition among each other as well to influence us, right? So the interesting thing is this: when two people fight, they fight with each other to harm each other. But these three modes are actually in competition to attack the jiva, the conditioned living entity. So that's why I'm saying condition, because that's what Lord Krishna reveals, that the living entity becomes conditioned that I am this body, and so they can attack the body with their influences, and they make the person things based on the various modes which are influencing. So we all know the early morning hours, 1.5 hours before the sunrise, Brahma Muhurat time. So you should still make an effort to get up and start chanting. So from the very early morning, we all know that whatever we start early in the day, that influences and shapes the whole day, right? So we should start that early. And we also have to understand what is knowledge and how we can kind of like constantly engage. So when we engage in cultivation of knowledge, then it cultivates us, right? It's a culture. It's something that civilizes us. It's something that puts us in the right mood. Something जो हमको सही धारणा में डालता है, सही व्यवहार कराता है, सही दृष्टिकोण देता है. The viewpoints are more purified, and we start seeing good in everyone. So that is an important aspect. So this juxtaposition condition of the material modes causes the living entity. But these three modes, even though they're in competition, they're in competition with each other. They're in competition and influencing the living entity. So actually, they're acting like three parties who are trying to attack and see who can control the living entity. Sometimes A can control, which is mode of goodness. Sometimes B can control, which is mode of passion. Sometimes C can control. But how do we know that how they are controlling? So Lord Kṛṣṇa says that when one gets controlled by this mode, so I'm paraphrasing somehow, so that we can understand, right? How can we get control? How do we know that the person is being controlled, or how we are, which particular mode we are being controlled in? So in the mode of goodness, there is illumination. People are, when there is light, then we can see things as they are, right? At least from the material perspective, we start to see things as they are. So this illuminating. And this body is a city of 9 gates, it is said. It has 9 holes. That's why it is called city of 9 gates. We have 2 holes for the eyes, 2 holes for the ears, right? ये छिद्र हैं, 9 छिद्र की से जो नगरी होती है उसको शरीर कहते हैं. तो उस तरह से बताया लॉर्ड कृष्ण ने कि जो 2 छिद्र हैं, वो छेद हैं, वो नासिका के लिए, नाक के लिए, nostrils, 2 for ears, 1 for mouth, right? What else is there? And we have so 2 for ears, 2 for nostrils, 1 for mouth. So these 5, and then we have anus, genitals. So that's 7, and 2 ears, 2 nose. That's 4 actually. 1 mouth, and 2 eyes. So that makes it 9, right? 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 2 eyes, that's 6, mouth, anus, and genital. So 9 of them. So there's 9 holes are there in the body. So this is a city of 9 gates. And all these gates are illuminated. Why? Because when we see things as they are, then we behave properly, right? And we are, is saying that we carry out to sustain ourselves. We are filled with knowledge. So when one is inclined towards knowledge, when he is inquisitive also, that is very much in knowledge, because when we is curious to know things, right? That is also very important. But sometimes curiosity should be in the right direction. Curiosity should not be in the direction of duplicity, because that is influence of mode of passion. One wants to enjoy, and that's why he is curious. When he is curious to get the knowledge, the right knowledge, understand things as they are, then he is illuminated, and all the gates are illuminated, and he is in knowledge. He is in knowledge means know the things as they are, right? कि हर चीज का क्या purpose है. He wants to know why is this there, why is that there. And we see this in children. When the children are 3-4 years old, they start to speak, they start to wonder all the things around that they did not pay attention to, because previously they were at that annamaya state. Everything was, when they were born, they were putting in their mouth, because they were constantly just thinking that this is how I get to know this world. But then all the senses, they start to, the motor functions start working, they start seeing things, and they start inquiring. So they are waking up to the various realization why this is there. So it's very interesting that's why बच्चों को हम लोग भगवान का रूप क्यों बोलते हैं, क्योंकि जो बच्चे होते हैं बहुत ही सीधे होते हैं, वो हर चीज़ को जानना चाहते हैं. They ask various kind of questions. ये कार कैसे चल रही है, ये ऐसे बड़े कैसे हो जाती है बॉडी, and why are the different colors, how do what are these things flying in the sky, they are called, we tell them that they are birds. And the interesting thing is this, we tell them they are birds and then we move on, right? The curiosity is, how can they fly and I don't fly, right? And then we talked about different theories and aspects that, okay. But simply, iske means again, chapter where Lord Krishna is revealing that there are different kind of bodies, 8.4 million kind of bodies, and all these are possible because he is the seed-giving father. So this juxtaposition, the influence, how do we know one is in a mode of goodness? Because he's illuminated. He's seeing things as they are in the surroundings. He's not twisting them. He's happy with what is being provided to him. He's not trying to say, it would be nice if I mix orange and mango, it will come out to be a new flavor. And then I'll sell it to others. He's not looking from that perspective. I'll enjoy it myself and sell it to them. That is mode of passion. When somebody is not satisfied with what is around them and tries to find different ways to attract others, and just to attract others, they have to endeavor heavily. So that mode of passion is there. Right, mode of passion where there is a lot of desires, there are strong desires to enjoy, and there is always longing, there is always hankering, there is always lamenting. So that is, the longings are there. So that when someone is saying, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that, you understand, oh, this person is getting influenced by the mode of passion. But then there is a tendency, when somebody comes in touch of mode of passion, they can quickly fall down to mode of ignorance. Because then they are not encouraged to do anything sometimes. I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have to do anything. It becomes that motto for them. And that is actually mode of ignorance, which is complete darkness. Where in darkness, you don't know what is what. So you think the right is wrong and wrong is right. That becomes the attitude. So the delusion happens, ignorance happens, and person, they behave like madmen. Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he reveals that these various effects happen. So this is where, Lord Krishna from 19 to 27, he is talking about how the further influence happens. But in this first section, juxtaposition, he is telling that Lord Krishna is revealing that he is the Supreme Father. He is telling in the fourth verse, Sarvayonishu Kanteya Murta Sama Bhavanti Yaha Tesham Brahma Mahadyonir Aham Bija Pradhapita. All these varieties of living entities, this condition, are bodies that they are taking up. They, all species of life, he is saying, son of Kunti. Kanteya is referring to Arjun, son of Kunti. They are all made possible by birth in this material world. So they appear in this material world. So it's not that they are getting born, the material bodies take birth. But the living entities are eternal. So he's saying that they appear, in this material nature, and I am that seed-giving father. I am their origin. So, and Lord Krishna, he expands as Vibhinnamsha. So that is Jivas. So those Amshas are Jivas. When he is expanding as Swamsha in his Swarup, then those are Vishnu Tattvas. And there are various, unlimited incarnations of Lord Shri Krishna as Nrsimhadev, Lord Rāma. So they are all avatar incarnations. Lord Krishna is avatari. He is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada gave the example that there is an original candle which is already lit. And there are various candles of the same type with the same, potency, and this candle is used to light it up. So the original candle is original, which is lighting, and all other ones are lit by this candle, right? So एक जो original मोमबत्ती है, उसने सब मोमबत्तियों को lit करा है, सबकी same capacity है, same potency है. Yet at the same time, Lord Krishna is avatari, while all other incarnations, they are avatar of in Vishnu Tattva. So they all together refer to as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because Lord Krishna, they are all in Lord Krishna. Plus Lord Krishna has additional, from compared to Vishnu, he has 4 additional qualities we talked about earlier. So here he is telling Aham Bij Pradapita, I am the seed-giving father. So we are actually coming from Lord Shri Krishna because we are his marginal energies, living entities. And the material energy is his external potency. And Radharani and the Yogamaya, they are his internal potency. So yeah, Radharani expands. As Lord Krishna expands, Radharani also expands. So when Lord Krishna, his portion of plenary portion is Lord Vishnu, then she is expanding as Goddess Lakshmi and serving him. She is always beside him, ready to serve him with her complete heart. So this is the mood we should learn from mother, right? Children, they see how mother loves father, how she respects father, she takes care of father, so the children automatically get that mood of awe and reverence. So looking at goddess of Lakshmi serving, Lord Vishnu, his feet, of course, all the Vaikuntha Vasis, they worshipped Lord Vishnu in awe and reverence. Mother Radha, she is at a Madhurya Ras. So following her, the mood also changes of the Vrindavan Vasis. And so they are all, loving Krishna with a similar reflection in their individual relationship. So here, in the second one, Lord Krishna is providing us an overview. O in joy refers to overview of the different influences of the three modes of material nature, the characteristics, what are their characteristics, what are the actions one performs, and what kind of destination one attains after the body, right? So here it defeats where Lord Krishna is saying that one thinks, if Lord Krishna is not saying, as Prabhupada in the purport, he explains that if somebody is born as a human, people think that they cannot fall down to further Manushyoni, Pashyoni, right? They will not be in the next birth, be born as animals. But Lord Krishna already revealed in 8.5 and 8.6 that one who is constantly thinking of him at the last moment of life, at the moment of death, will attain him. But whatever one thinks at the last moment of their life, that's the destination they attain. And mind becomes the carrier, the subtle body carries that person. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajantanta kalevaram tam tam evati kaunteya sadatad bhava bhavita. So whatever one thinks at the last moment of their life, that destination one attains. So, and we see the example, Bharat Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam, he was thinking of the deer at the last moment, he got attached to the deer. So in the next birth, he became deer. We heard about Puranjani, right? Puranjani, the story that Devashi Narada was telling Prachin Bhari, he was telling about Puranjan that at the last moment of his life, he was thinking about his wife Puranjani. And so in the next birth, he was born as a woman. So whatever we think about, at the last moment of our life. So we should all think of Krishna. Now something very interesting happened. We're talking about this, and a child, when we were talking in a program, and he said, oh, very nice. So when I'll think about Krishna, I will become Krishna. Oh, that is where Srila Prabhupada used to say, why to think of becoming God? God position is already taken. Lord Krishna is the only supreme God. We are his amshas, right? We are his part and parcel. Yet at the same time, why not become God? Love him so much that, we become God. And beautiful example is given, just like a grandfather sometimes allows his grandson to ride on him and he becomes a horse for the grandson. A father becomes, a carrier of his son and, carries his son on his shoulder. So the son is still son. Yet the father is carrying him on his shoulder as glorifying him, right? When you carry someone above you on your shoulder, then you actually glorify. But that's a reflection of love. It's a different mood. And so Srila Prabhupada used to say, why do you want to become God when you can become greater than God? Mother Yashoda, she binds Lord Krishna with her love. So that's why Lord is glorified as Damodar. And actually it's a glorification of Yashodamai. Yashoda means one who is making famous, Yasha. Oda. So, one who is making. So, she is spreading the fame of Lord Shri Krishna. And with her love, Lord Krishna is being glorified as Damodar, one who is bound by the love of Mother Yashoda. So, he is bound by the love of his devotees. So, even the one who is invincible can be bound by one who is constantly could be defeated, right? Jivas are anu, so we are limited. Yet at the same time, we can conquer the unlimited. And how can we conquer? Very simple process, by engaging in devotional service. So Lord is so merciful, He's so compassionate, He's such a loving Father. Why shouldn't we reflect that love back? Even when we come to this condition, in this material world, get conditioned, yet at the same time, He's residing in our heart as Paramatma. How more compassionate can anyone be? Right? Even Putana, who came to kill Lord Krishna, and he gave her the position of her mother. He made her Yashoda Mai's associate. So after he kills her, she is completely purified and she becomes an associate of Yashoda Mai in Golok Vrindavan. Can you imagine? Such a wonderful Lord He is, that He only looks at the mood with which we approach.
So he is bhavgrahi janadana. So if we have a loving mood, we know that there cannot be any diminution, any destruction. Everything will be auspicious. That's why we should all pray together. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Lord Krishna is saying that one who is in the mode of goodness, he is not just getting illuminations to see things as they are. He is not just happy by very nature. Yet at the same time, there is a tendency for one to become proud, right? And that would be the binding force. Lord Krishna says that don't become proud. Why? Because lust, anger, and greed, these are the three gates of fall. But these three gates of fall, that to the gate when we go, Srila Prabhupada and many acharyas have explained that pride is something that paves that path that we can fall down from our position. Lord Krishna, he doesn't want anyone, not even Radharani, to fall, become proud. What to talk about us? So we should understand that we should always stay humble. So there is another mantra that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Radha Krishna together, he has given us. His Krishna appearing in the mood of Radharani, right? Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And he is telling us this. Tranadapi shuni chena tarurapi saishnuna manina manadena ketanya sadahari. So there are four characteristics he is identifying. Tranadapi shuni chena, thinking of oneself lower than the grass on the streets, right? Tarurapi saishnuna, being more tolerant than the tree. Amanina, not expecting any respect from others. Manadena, ready to give all respect to others. Sometimes people get confused. They say amanina manadena means, give respect even for others who are not respecting you, who are insulting you. Yes, that is included. But also give respect to others who are respecting you, or no matter what. Anybody who is giving insult or disrespectful towards us, we should understand this is my bad karmas. Now it's very interesting that we should understand it for ourselves, not tell others that this is your bad karmas coming up to you. Because that person may very well raise his fist and also say, let me show you the bad karma that you performed is coming to you in this form. And that would not be very suitable for our conditions, right? No matter where we are. So we should not disturb others. Yes, mano dujite loko lokana dujite chaya. A devotee does not disturb others and does not get disturbed by others. Rather, always seek to speak sweetly, respectfully, and not expecting, similar response. Because everything is happening because of our past karma, so we should just accept. Yet at the same time, be focused on the goal. And what is the goal? That is revealed at the end of this chapter. So, actually in the middle of the chapter, it's in the 26th verse, Lord Krishna reveals that secret, how we should be behaving. So here, we also learn that while Lord Krishna is talking about the various modes of material nature, that people can fall down from any yoni to any yoni based on their desire, especially the desire at the last moment of their life. And the last moment of the life, it is said that the whole life passes through. So you see whatever you have done. Of course, you will have desire arising from that. Sometimes people say, I'll take to bhakti when I'll get old. But actually, that is a very dangerous position. Maharaj Kulshekar, when he was praying to the deities, he was in a very youthful, very strong body, and he was saying, oh my dear Lord, now just like a Hamsa takes pleasure in merging into the, relishing the stem, of the lotus. Similarly, right now I am very powerful, I am completely meditating on you, my senses are very strong, I can worship you, I can see you, I can hear your glories, I can sing your glories. At this time, let me give up my body so that I can attain you, just like that Hamsa is taking pleasure. So I will take pleasure in serving you, in my spiritual form as you have created me for the right purpose. So that should be our mood, that we should be looking at it as early as possible. This very moment we should start to take to devotional service. It simply starts with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So one who is in the mode of goodness, being illuminated, what is his destination, somebody could say? Well, his destination, he attains higher planetary systems like Brahma Loka, Jana Loka, and there he enjoys godly delights, the godly happiness, and that happiness is said to be thousands of times more. So in the mood of goodness, one is enjoying highly and people get attracted, right? They say, oh, so Vedas were right, you get to enjoy more. But really, it's a first class jail, third class jail and a second class jail. There is still jail. You are still inside a jail. You want to get out of the jail, right? That is true happiness, because all this happiness is temporary. As soon as their duration is over, they again fall down to this earth. And let me not describe the way they fall down. Their death is also 1,000 times more miserable than the human death. So also understand that they have to go through so much suffering also. There is constant distress. Even in the body of a demigod, the king of demigod, Indra, is always afraid. Anytime somebody finishes 100 Ashwamedh Yagyas, the person can become an Indra. So he is always in anxiety. So even there we see the mode of passion showing up at times, right? Because of the position, based on individual positions. So someone can be born in the body of a demigod, someone can be born in the body of a man. But then we should all understand that we are not this body, we are eternal soul, and we should engage in devotional service and get out of the jail. That is a simple purpose. So here, what are the effects? Again, knowledge and happiness is there, but one can become proud. That is, not good. And by becoming proud, one becomes entangled, one gets caught in this material world. Then in mode of passion, there is constant desire and longing. And with desire and longing, what are they engaged in? They are engaging in various kind of fruitive activities. And so, by engaging in fruitive activities, they are constantly hankering, they are constantly lusty, and they are constantly facing misery. So they take birth on these earthly planets, right? So in the next birth, they may be born again as a human being, because they wanted to achieve so many things that only in a human body you can achieve. But that's also very painful. We know that for 9 months a human baby is suffering in the mother's womb, and then when you come out here, Jan Mrityu Jaravadi Dukha Doshanu Darshanam, they are constant understanding the evil of birth, death, old age and disease. And also, that's also knowledge, understanding this. And also the 3 kinds of misery is always there: Adi Bhuta, Adi Deva, Adhyatma. Adhyatma is the one that is आध्यात्मिक जो misery होती है created by our own mind, that is like 90% and more. The other ones are very little, coming from other human beings, you can ignore them, so you won't get affected. And from Adi Deva, so coming from the demigods by natural disturbances, you just engage in devotional service and all the demigods will be satisfied. And everything that is happening is actually, it is our reflection. We are not seeing things as they are. That's why it appears to be bad. But in reality, everything that's happening is good. One way or another, because Lord Kṛṣṇa is all good. He cannot do anything bad. So this is only our relative thinking, our material thinking, that we think that things are bad, things are good. From a materialistic perspective, everything is inauspicious. There is nothing auspicious, Srila Prabhupada says. While from a devotee's perspective, everything that is happening from devotee's perspective is auspicious, because he is seeing Lord Kṛṣṇa's hand in everything and understanding there is a lesson behind it, so we can see perfection in imperfection. Now that's an interesting concept, wabi sabi, right? Seeing perfection or good in everything. Now that is something that we should all try to develop. There was this lady, he was using an example that, okay, wabi sabi seems to be, it's originated in Japan back in time, and they said, even if something is there, like a saucer has been made, or a cup has been made, and it's not very nicely shaved, or it's not nicely painted, how can I see good in it? So they were trying to see good in it. At least there is a saucer with which you can fill it and you can drink. At least it has. So they were seeing good in everything. So this lady was saying, looking at the toothpaste, her husband used to press toothpaste at different places, it would become very distorted shape. She was like, what is good in it? She was looking at it and she was like, what is good in this? And then suddenly she realized that at least he brushes his teeth every day, right? That's good. So that's a good thing. So we should be able to see good in it. And so everything that we have received around us, there is some good in it. We are ignoring that good. Just like that man who was ignoring the fact that his dog knows how to play chess, he was more interested in saying that he's not very smart because he cannot win. That's what we are trying to sometimes think about our surroundings. But in reality, every one of us has been placed in a situation which is best for us to make spiritual progress. We just don't see it that way. That is our shortcoming, not Lord Kṛṣṇa's reciprocation. His reciprocation is perfect as where he is. And then he is telling us that you can become perfect no matter which mode you are in. And that is given, in 17th verse. So he is saying, Sattva sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobha evacha pramada moha tamaso bhavato ajnanam evacha. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance develops foolishness, madness and illusion. And of course, we talked about, like with passion, people, they take up heavy endeavor. Yet at the same time, if someone is in the mode of darkness, they actually take birth in they get lower births in their next life. Birth as an animal, as insects, as plants and other kind of living entities. 8.4 million species. Of them there are demigods also, which mode of goodness you get. Human beings, earthly beings, they are in the mode of passion, and then mode of ignorance causes further fall down. So we should be very careful. And then if you become devotee, even if we are not successful, Lord Krishna says that we are, even if we have performed little devotional service, but we have performed it with faith and we worship Lord Shri Krishna with faith, even for a little while, then our human birth is guaranteed. But then can you imagine if with little, we can get so much, then why not do it all the time? Why not make an effort to increase it so we can come out of this third class, second class, first class jail? We can completely get out of jail and enjoy the complete freedom outside the jail, right? In this material world, there are material laws and laws of nature we generally refer to as. When we have citizens have laws, Srila Prabhupada talks about in purport, and if we hurt another human being, we are punished by the state. We are punished by the government, by the police and by the judiciary system. So why wouldn't there be a nature's law, right? And we all understand that there is already, directly and indirectly, Lord is seeing this. He has already set up agents who are making sure. So there is already, for the human beings only, there is Yamlok has been set. It's not for the animal kingdom. It's not for the plant kingdom. Only for human beings, 4 lakh human varieties that it has been set up. So it's not the number of human beings on planet Earth, it is the categories. The 4 lakhs is a category. So here that has been identified, that from the mode of passion, greed develops, and then when greed develops, we talked about this in the earlier chapters as well. Lord Krishna reveals that from greed, attachment develops, from attachment, anger develops, from anger, one becomes bewildered, delusion, the memory gets bewildered, intelligence is lost and one falls down, right? Sangha sanjayate kamat, kamat krodho bhijayate, krodat bhavati sammoha, sammota ha smriti brahmasat, buddhi nashad vinashyati. One falls down, that's in the mode of ignorance. We don't want to be in that state at all, right? Do you want to suffer? No, you don't want to suffer. And then comes why enjoy refers to yoga, takes to yogic practices, right? Takes to yoga, connection with God. Yoga means connecting with Lord Shri Krishna, connecting with the God. And by connecting with God, we can become transcendental to the 3 modes of material nature. So it doesn't matter which mode we are in. If we can transcend, right? It doesn't matter we are in first class jail or second class jail or third class jail. Once we are out of the jail, then why does it matter which particular jail cell we were in, right? जब हम लोग जेल से बाहर निकल जाते हैं तो हमें ये इससे क्या मतलब है कौन से वाले कारागृह में हमको रखा था, हमें अंधकूप में डाल दिया था, क्या हमें बीच वाले में रखा था या हमें लग्जरी वाले सेल में रखा था. It doesn't matter. We are out of the jail. Now let's enjoy with Lord Shri Krishna by serving him, by pleasing him, by engaging in devotional service with other devotees who are also serving Lord Shri Krishna, and everything is joyful. It's like Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. It is like an overflowing ocean of happiness. The happiness inside the jail is like flickering. He has an AC, I don't have an AC. Oh, the condition out here is worse. The whole thing. Why cry about the jail when you are outside the jail? So we want to get out of the jail. That is our purpose. So he is saying in the 26th verse, it's a very important verse. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate saguna samtityetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So how can we rise to the level of Brahman? Now it's very interesting. Earlier Lord Krishna says the jivas are Brahman, the material energy is Brahman, I am Brahman, he is per Brahman, right? We all understand. So even the material energy, that is constantly changing. But how is material energy changing? We should also understand. We also talked about this, that this change is coming because we living entity are in the material body, right? So it goes through 6 kind of changes. It takes birth, it grows, it maintains for some time, it produces progeny, it dwindles, and then it dies. So this change in the material nature in the various bodies that we see is happening because we are, right? Yeah. So this happens. I lost my chain of thought.
Changes, 6 changes.
Yeah, so these changes are happening because of the living entities in various material bodies. On its own, material nature is jad. It cannot make any changes. So it is because of us. And finally, Lord Krishna is telling us in the 27th verse, the final verse, he is saying, Brahmano hi pradishtaham amritsya avayasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya kantikasya cha. So he is saying that I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. So all these are Brahman, but this Brahman is also dependent on someone. So he is revealing that. Then don't think that I am Brahmasmi, I am Brahman means you are independent, because this Brahman is, it's also dependent on Lord Shri Krishna. So he is the basis of this Brahman. And what are the characteristics of this Brahman? The Brahman is immortal, right? That's also been given Amritasya. Amritasya means it's immortal, it is. And then Avyayasya cha. So it cannot be perished, it cannot be destroyed. So it is imperishable. Then he is saying Shashvatasya cha dharmasya. It's also eternal and it is constantly engaged in dharma, right? Dharmasya. And then Sukhasya kantikasya cha. So it is the constitutional position of unlimited happiness. So in Brahman we get unlimited happiness. But this Brahman is also coming from Per Brahman, who is none other than Lord Shri Krishna. So when we understand from that perspective, everything becomes understandable for us. We understand things as they are. So we should be engaging in devotion service. And what did he say earlier? Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. So there is another aspect, avyabhicharena. So he stays unfailing in all circumstances, unflinching, staying strong, right? So that is very important. So here, whatever circumstances we are in, we should be engaging in devotional service. We should be thinking and praying to Lord Shri Krishna with gratitude, with a thankful heart, with a pleasing heart, to please him. We have to serve Lord Shri Krishna, and then we will all become happy. So that is the secret. We simply start with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So today in this chapter, we covered the acronym JOY. J is for juxtaposition. How through 2 completely different Brahman qualities, which is material world, a lower energy, and then the spiritual being, marginal energy, come together, and how everything changes and we become conditioned. Even though we say, but in the context of material energy, we become conditioned, and being influenced by the 3 modes of material nature, we experience differently, have different perspective about the same thing. We look at the same picture, same circumstance, and we have different views. And so our destination, हमारी जो गति होती है, वो भी अलग अलग तरह से चलती है, सत्व गुण, रजोगुण, तमोगुण में. उसके कारण हम लोग डिफरेंट तरीके से बिहेव करते हैं. लेकिन जब हम समझ जाते हैं कि everything is coming from Lord Shri Krishna, Lord Krishna is our caretaker, he is providing us everything, and we serve him, then we can transcend the 3 modes of material nature and get out of this jail known as material world and engage in his devotional service. Also understand that even Brahman is dependent on Lord Shri Krishna. He is the cause of Brahman. He is Per Brahman, right? So we should understand that we are constantly always dependent on Lord Shri Krishna. So when we are dependent, then we should behave like dependent and we should serve him, because he is like a loving father. Aham bij pradapita. He is our father. वो हमारे पिता हैं, परम पिता हैं. तो हमको उनको सर्व करने से ही फुल्ली सेटिस्फैक्शन मिलेगा और हम लोगों को अनलिमिटेड हैप्पीनेस मिलेगी. कब मिलेगी? जब हम भगवान की भक्ति में लगे रहेंगे, which simply starts with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, O is the overview we covered, and finally we have to engage in Y, which is yoga. Connection with God. We should connect with Lord Shri Krishna and avyabhicharana, with unflinching faith, without any interruption, unfailing in all circumstances. We should engage in devotional service. Hare Krishna. श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, निताय गो प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल. हरे कृष्णा.
हरे कृष्णा डियर फ्रेंड्स. ज्योति शर्मा बस्याल, अशोक कामले, मनोज यादव, हरि बोल. परोमिता कौर, कृष्णाचारी, हरि बोल. आप सभी को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद जिन्होंने ये लेक्चर मिस किया. प्लीज़, आपके पास ये वीडियो अवेलेबल है, आप इसको वॉच करिए. अगले 1 या 2 मिनट के अंदर अगर आपके कोई बर्निंग क्वेश्चंस हैं, प्लीज़ राइट देम हियर. प्रभु जी कैन आंसर देम. कृष्णाचारी, हरे कृष्णा, राजीव शर्मा, किशन सिंह, राजेश ठाकर, अरूप सिन्हा रॉय, वेंकट साय, सुधामाला, हरे कृष्णा, शिवा बिरादर, किरण कुमार, जानू बुदनपुर, नमला विशाल, दीपिका श्रीकांत रेड्डी, मयंक बाजपेयी, श्री विष्णु, राम सकपाल, भरत ठाकुर. हरे कृष्णा सभी को. और एकता शॉ, हरि बोल. हरे कृष्णा डियर फ्रेंड्स. आज हमने चैप्टर 14 कवर किया प्रभु जी ने डिस्कोर्स में, मोड्स ऑफ मटेरियल नेचर, जो सतगुण, तमोगुण, रजोगुण हैं और उनके कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स, और किस तरह से इस अंडरस्टैंडिंग से हम अपने आप में, अपनी भक्ति में इम्प्रूवमेंट ला सकते हैं, और वी कैन take sincerely to engaging in serving Krishna, pleasing Krishna.
And transcend the 3 modes of material nature.
Yes.
Hare.
And Prabhuji, I do not see any questions right now. So, dear friends, later on, Prabhuji is again going to come back with a very beautiful New Year gift for everyone. It is a beautiful subject, beautiful topic. वन ऑफ द फ्रेंड्स ने कमेंट किया है, अंग्रेज़ी में अपने लोग समझते नहीं हैं, तो प्रभु जी ने ट्राई किया अपनी तरफ से ताकि बोथ इंग्लिश और हिंदी सबके लिए इनकी क्लास बेनिफिशियल हो. फ्यूचर में ये प्योरली हिंदी में भी ट्राई कर सकते हैं, और ये हमारा एफर्ट रहता है कि मैक्सिमम लोगों तक रीच आउट कर सकें. सो हम रियली अप्रिशिएट करते हैं आपके कमेंट्स. रीवा दुसेजा, हरे कृष्णा. अमरबीर सिंह, अगर आप में से किसी को भी कोई क्वेश्चन हो दिमाग में प्रभु जी से, इफ़ यू आर लुकिंग फॉर एनी आंसर्स, फील फ्री टू पुट देम इन कमेंट. आई विल कन्वे टू प्रभु जी, because he is not in a position to read from the screen directly. The camera is far from him. और इस वक्त हम ये जो भगवद गीता के चैप्टर्स कवर कर रहे हैं, भगवान की टीचिंग्स कवर कर रहे हैं, ये हम सभी के बेनिफिट के लिए है. आप सभी श्रोताओं से ज़्यादा हमें भी बेनिफिट मिलता है जब हम ये नॉलेज आप तक लाते हैं. सो ये हम सब पर भगवान की परम कृपा है कि हमें ये अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली कि हम आप तक भगवद गीता की टीचिंग्स लाएं. और रीतिका गांगुली, हरे कृष्णा, थैंक यू वेरी मच. हरे कृष्णा. मयूरी शराक्षार, अमरबीर सिंह, हरि बोल. सो आई थिंक अब हम इस सेशन यहाँ एंड कर सकते हैं.
श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, निताय गो प्रेमानंदे,
हरि हरि बोल.